Welcome back to WION World is One. You're watching Speed News with me, Vidur Kathuria. Let's get started. US President Donald Trump has said another US Armada was on its way towards Iran. However, he said he hopes it would not have to be used. This renews US warnings to Tehran against killing protesters or restarting its nuclear program. Addressing a crowd, the US president hoped that Tehran makes a deal with Washington. The warships began moving from the Asia-Pacific region last week as tensions between Iran and the US escalated following a harsh crackdown on protests across Iran in recent months. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman told Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian that the Gulf monarchy would not allow attacks on Iran to be launched from its soil. During a call, the Saudi prince affirmed Riyadh's position on respecting the sovereignty of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Saudi's foreign ministry has said the Saudi kingdom will not allow its airspace or its territory to be used for any military actions against Iran. The Saudi move follows United Arab Emirates' foreign ministry statement. This complicates the Trump administration's options in response to Tehran's violent crackdown against Iranian protesters. The US has announced a major multi-day Air Force exercise in West Asia as Washington and Tehran face off over Iran's deadly crackdown on anti-government demonstrations. This came a day after the US military said the Abraham Lincoln Carrier strike group had arrived, which dramatically boosted American firepower in the region. The US Air Force component of Central Command said the exercise will demonstrate the ability to deploy, disperse and sustain combat air power across West Asia. No date or exact location for the exercise were released. US President Donald Trump has said the United States would no longer help Iraq if it picks Nouri al-Maliki as its prime minister. The alliance of Shiite political blocs that holds a majority in Iraq's parliament announced last week the selection of former PM Maliki as its nominee for the post. Meanwhile, the alliance said that pick was based on his political and administrative experience and his role in managing the state. Maliki previously served 2 terms as Iraq's prime minister from 2006 to 2014, a period marked by sectarian violence, a power struggle with Sunni and Kurdish rivals, amid growing tensions with the US. The vital Rafah border crossing is expected to reopen soon. This after Israeli forces brought back the remains of the last captive, Ran Gvili. Israel has said it would only allow pedestrians to travel through the crossing as part of its limited reopening. This after the return of Gvili's remains meets Israel's final condition for reopening of Rafah corridor. The Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt is the Palestinian territory's only gateway to the outside world that does not lead to Israel. US President Donald Trump says he'll de-escalate a little bit in Minnesota. He described his position as not a pullback, it's a little bit of change. In an interview with Fox News, Trump has said the killing of Rennie Good and Alex Pretty were terrible, but adds Good may have been radicalized earlier. Democratic House leaders threatened to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem over the immigration crackdown if Trump didn't fire her. A man approached US Representative Ilhan Omar during a town hall meeting in Minneapolis, sprayed an unidentified liquid in her direction and shouted at her before being tackled by security. The disruption occurred days after the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Alex Pretty by federal immigration agents during an attempted detention, an incident that has fueled protests and heightened tensions in the city. Omar was not injured, and authorities have not said what substance was sprayed or whether charges have been filed. US President Donald Trump rallied supporters in Iowa as he worked to shore up support in a Midwestern political battleground just south of neighboring Minnesota. This is an area where a confrontation was escalating over the aggressive tactics of federal immigration agents. Trump traveled to Iowa to rally his stalwart rural supporters in a state that hosts key congressional races in November. Mounting stress in the farm economy and delays in biofuel policy are testing the patience of farmers and renewable fuel producers. While Trump tries to convince voters he is bringing costs down, his White House is embroiled in a crisis in neighboring Minnesota. India and the European Union have struck a long-delayed deal that will slash tariffs on most goods, aiming to boost two-way trade and reduce reliance on the US amid growing global trade tensions. The deal is expected to double EU exports to India by 2032 by eliminating or reducing tariffs in 96.6% of traded goods by value, and will lead to savings of $4.75 billion in duties for European companies. The two-decade-long EU-India trade talks gained momentum after Washington imposed a 50% tariff on some Indian goods, and as US allies push back against President Donald Trump's tariff threats and his bid to take over Greenland. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is heading to China, marking the first visit to the country by a British leader in 8 years. The trip comes as part of a bid to mend strained ties with China and reduce UK's dependence on the United States. During the three-day visit, Starmer is expected to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang in Beijing. He will then travel to Shanghai before making a brief stop in Japan. Both UK and China are looking to stabilize ties with a focus on trade and cooperation on global issues such as climate change. Colombian President Gustavo Petro said Venezuela's ousted President Nicolas Maduro must be returned from the US to his country to be tried by a court in the oil-producing nation. Maduro is being held in a New York prison after his capture in Caracas by US forces in early January, in an operation ordered by US President Donald Trump. Petro's remarks came a week before a trip to Washington, where he will meet Trump for the first time. This after maintaining tense relations since the US President took office in 2025. Before agreeing to the White House meeting, Trump repeatedly accused Petro, without evidence, of allowing a steady flow of cocaine into the US. A boat carrying 25 French tourists has capsized off the coast of Oman, killing at least 3 and injuring 2. Authorities are investigating the incident. French Foreign Ministry has expressed sorrow over the deaths. The boat was 2.5 nautical miles from Sultan Qaboos port in the Gulf of Oman when it tipped over. The families of 2 Trinidadian nationals killed in an October airstrike are suing the US government for wrongful death and extrajudicial killings. 2 men from a small fishing village in Trinidad, namely Chad Joseph and Rishi Samaru, were among the 6 killed in a US military airstrike on a small boat in the Caribbean Sea on 14th October. Back then, US President Donald Trump had alleged that the men killed in the US strikes were narco-terrorists. However, the lawsuit disputes his claim, contending that the laws of war can't apply since the strike occurred outside any active armed conflict. Cubans held their traditional March of the Torches on the night of January 27th to honor the 172nd anniversary of the birth of national independence hero Jose Marti. The annual event, which takes place on the eve of his birthday, serves as both a tribute to the apostle of Cuban independence and a demonstration of revolutionary unity. Storm Chandra hit the UK and Ireland, bringing destructive winds, heavy rain and widespread flooding. Storm Chandra is the third storm to hit the British Isles this year after Goretti and Ingrid, which brought significant damage and disruption. Gusts topping 80 miles per hour knocked out power to tens of thousands of homes, closed more than 300 schools and forced cancellations of flights, ferries and trains. In and around Devon in England, cars and homes were submerged by floodwaters. A severe flood warning has been issued in the area.
Oh, I just took mine off.
A deep freeze has gripped large swaths of the US after a monster storm killed at least 35 people from the northeast to the deep south. Causes include hypothermia as well as accidents related to traffic, sledding, all-terrain vehicles. Electricity began blinking back on across the south, but according to the tracking site poweroutage.com, as of Tuesday morning, more than 540,000 customers remained without power. More than 9,000 flights were disrupted as the storm paralyzed transportation across the country. Tennessee, Texas, Mississippi and Louisiana in the south were especially impacted. Heavy snowfall blanketed many areas. More than 1,500 people have been evacuated from the Sicilian town of Nisemi after a major landslide triggered by violent storms left homes teetering on the edge of a cliff. Nisemi, a town of about 25,000 in south-central Sicily, sits on a plateau that authorities say is gradually collapsing towards the plain below, driven by water that remains in the subsoil. Footage from the scene showed entire buildings perched on the brink after large sections of the slope gave way. A car was left hanging over the edge, visible from inside a collapsed structure. Atomic scientists set their doomsday clock closer than ever to midnight. They did so by citing aggressive behavior by nuclear powers, Russia, China and the United States, freeing nuclear arms control, conflicts in Ukraine and West Asia, as well as worries over AI among factors driving risks for global disaster. The scientists also pointed at rising tensions in the Western Hemisphere since US President Donald Trump returned to office 12 months ago. The bulletin of the atomic scientists set the clock to 85 seconds before midnight, the theoretical point of annihilation. That is 4 seconds closer than it was set last year. US President Donald Trump said the value of the US dollar is great when asked about its recent decline, even though the dollar has fallen to its lowest in about 4 years against a basket of major currencies. His comments in Iowa came as the dollar index dropped sharply and markets saw weaker sentiment, partly due to expectations of Fed rate cuts, trade policy uncertainty and rising deficits. Trump said he doesn't want the dollar to weaken further and prefers it to seek its own level. The currency drop can help exporters but makes imports more expensive and could add inflationary pressure. US President Trump said he will soon announce his pick for the next Federal Reserve chair and predicted interest rates would fall once the new leaders are in place. Markets and prediction platforms now see BlackRock's Rick Ryder as the frontrunner to succeed current chair Jerome Powell, reflecting expectations that Trump wants someone aligned with lowering borrowing costs. Though this raises concerns about the Fed's independence, meanwhile, Fed officials appear unusually unified ahead of a policy meeting and are widely expected to keep rates unchanged for now, balancing cooler inflation with a slowing labor market even as political pressure mounts over future rate direction and leadership. India's upcoming budget is set to require record-high government borrowing, which is putting pressure on the country's bond yields, pushing the benchmark 10-year yield up to multi-month highs as investors brace for heavy supply. This surge in supply may keep borrowing costs elevated and challenge market appetite, even as the Reserve Bank of India has stepped in with liquidity support and accelerated bond purchases to calm yields. The situation highlights the balancing act between funding fiscal plans and managing bond market stability ahead of the February 1st budget announcement. Precious silver prices have surged in an extreme rally, prompting the CME Group to raise margin requirements on silver and other metals futures to curb risk as record volatility shakes the market. At the same time, gold hits another milestone, surging past $5,200 an ounce, buoyed by geopolitical uncertainty, a weaker dollar, and safe haven debasement. Flows tied to investor fears about fiscal and monetary policy under Trump. The combination of wild price swings and higher collateral costs is squeezing leverage traders, while both metals attract strong investment demand. The British government has formed a new team of artificial intelligence experts to develop AI tools for transport, public safety and defence. The initiative is funded by Meta and is part of the UK's push to build a strong domestic AI industry and boost government productivity. The experts will spend the next year creating open-source AI systems to help authorities maintain roads, manage public safety, and support national security decisions. The team includes data scientists and university researchers specializing in machine learning, computer vision, robotics, and trustworthy AI systems. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority, or FCA, has launched a review into the impact of advanced artificial intelligence on retail financial markets and consumers. The review will examine how AI could change market structures, competition, and the way financial firms operate. The findings are expected to be presented to the FCA board by mid-2026. The regulator has clarified that it does not plan to introduce AI-specific rules at this stage. FCA Executive Director Sheldon Mills said emerging technologies such as agentic AI, neuromorphic computing, and quantum systems could soon see widespread use in finance. WhatsApp has introduced a new advanced security mode to protect users from hackers and cyber threats. The feature, called Strict Account Settings, is rolling out and can be activated with a single click in the app's settings. It blocks media and attachments from unknown senders, disables link previews, and silences calls from unknown contacts. WhatsApp says these features target potential entry points for surveillance and sophisticated hacking attacks. The company says the mode is designed especially for journalists, activists, and public figures who face high-risk digital threats. Chelsea manager Liam Rosenior has dismissed rumours that Cole Palmer could leave the club, calling them unrealistic. The comments came after reports linked the England international with a move to Manchester United. Palmer joined Chelsea from Manchester City in 2023 and quickly became the club's star player. Rosenior said Palmer is untouchable and happy at Chelsea. Despite missing the last two matches with a groin injury, Palmer has travelled with the squad to Italy.